If you're curious about what's going to replace the smartphone and what the future holds for us, then this video is for you. If you go on the internet nowadays, everyone's talking about the Apple Vision Pro, the Rabbit R1, the Humane AI Pin, ChatGPT, and talking about what works today and what doesn't work and why the product's good or bad. But what if everyone is missing the point entirely? What if there's a bigger picture where the best parts of all these devices come together to replace the thing that almost everyone on earth has now, the smartphone? What if there's a completely new product that won't just do well, but it'll literally replace the billions of smartphones in people's pockets with something that looks and feels completely different? Okay, but before we figure out what that product is, we have to first ask ourselves, why is the smartphone dying? And let's first start with some facts and then we can talk about some opinions. So here's fact number one. Smartphone sales are already in decline. Have a look at the latest data that shows that after growing till 2019, the global smartphone market is starting to decline. Now, make no mistake, in a world with 6 billion people, people still buy more than 1 billion smartphones a year. This is not a small number, but the trend of this increasing has now reversed. So why is the trend reversed? There are so many factors, including the fact that the refurb market has been growing fast, as TechCrunch explains in this article. And of course, we all know that the global recession and COVID has caused spending crunches. There's also a saturation in the market with lesser first-time buyers and longer upgrade cycles, which leads us to the second fact. Smartphones have slowly started to become boring. People don't upgrade as often as they used to because as much as Apple and Samsung and the others try to convince buyers that the new processor will change their life or the latest camera has some slick sounding computational photography, customers have finally kind of figured out that these are mostly marketing gimmicks. I'm not saying that the latest phones are not better than the previous ones. I'm simply saying that the extra benefit you get each year is becoming smaller and smaller. There are rarely any killer features anymore, like the first time that Apple announced the App Store, or when the Pixel camera blew everything out of the water, or when Samsung released the first foldable, which of course immediately broke and had to be recalled. So the question is, what next? Are we all cursed to own the same amazing smartphone that never changes for the rest of eternity? I don't think so. I think that there's going to be the rise of a new category of device that will serve the same purposes as the smartphone serves: communication and entertainment. And the really insane part is we don't know what it's going to be. There are several form factors that are competing for the next big thing already. Some of them are out there and some are still being developed. In fact, I don't think it will look or feel anything like a smartphone that we own today. And no, it's not that it folds or shrinks or changes shape based on your mood swings. It's actually going to be something completely different. So, what form factor is it going to take? To figure that out, I think we first need to take the essence apart. We need to understand the sequence of events that happen every time you use a smartphone, and this is going to come as no surprise. Step 1, your brain asks for something. Anything like, find out who just texted me. Step 2, you pull out your smartphone and you give it a prompt with your fingers. You open the messaging app and you click and read the text message. Step 3, you branch out your engagement in different directions. Maybe you share that message with others, or you click a link in the message and go to a new app or to the browser. Now, across all of these steps, the basic interaction loop is happening with your brain and your eyes. Your brain asks for something and then your eyes see the output of that, and then your brain gives it the next command. Your hands and the phone are just enablers. They're the physical form factor that enable this virtual interaction. Now, in an ideal world, you should just be able to think stuff and the answer should appear in front of your eyes. If your brain wants to see what message you just received, it should appear in front of your eyes. If your brain wants to watch a funny video, your eyes should just see it. Who needs a phone, right? Now, of course, that sounds cool, but it's probably a bit more into the distant future. I mean, it's still realistic. Elon Musk's Neuralink is already inserting chips into humans to make stuff like this happen. But I think that given the level of intrusion that entails, the need for surgery to put it in, and the fact that this is completely untested, I don't think it's going to be a mass public success very soon. Just have a look at the kind of impact this chip could make.
I love playing chess, and so this is one of the things that y'all have enabled me to do, something that I wasn't able to really do much the last few years, especially not like this.
That's pretty cool. Now, before you think I'm suggesting that you insert chips into your brains, I'm not. There are so many issues and questions, but this really did bring to life for me what this can do. Now, back to reality and what we can really see as replacing a smartphone. If we can't directly insert a chip into our brains, it makes things a bit harder. This is because we need to do everything that the brain would do with a device. We need to be able to see things and we need to be able to overlay them with information that we want, regardless of the mode. Whether we're looking at text or images, even sounds, we want to be able to eliminate needing to use our fingers and just think things, or at least just say things instead of having to fiddle with a keyboard. Now, this is the part that gets me most excited. All these problems have been individually solved. It's just that they aren't part of the same device yet. This is happening as we speak, and as I make this video, as you see it, there's a next generation of devices that are all available to buy. And yes, individually, if you watch the reviews, they all have their issues, but we need to look beyond the first generation of these devices and imagine a vision of the future when they come together. So come, let's watch the trailer of the movie of the future together. And before we watch the trailer, if you're enjoying this video, do subscribe, like it, and share your thoughts. Support small creators like me so the movie of the future doesn't just have the few big guns. So back to it. There's basically 3 groups of products and tech that exist that I think need to come together for this future. The first is AR/VR glasses. The second is Gen AI prompted interactions and multimodal interactions in particular. And the third bit, which I think not too many companies have actually figured out, is a new operating system and a method of interaction with these 2 devices. Let me explain one by one. First, the glasses. This is already being solved by Meta. The Meta Ray-Ban smart glasses are the kind of form factor that can actually work. Everyone wears sunglasses, many people wear spectacles like me, and there's nothing abnormal about having a pair on. They don't have all the features of Apple's Vision Pro, but if you ask me, they're undoubtedly the form factor that products like the Vision Pro or the Meta Quest need to move towards. They take something that everyone's used to wearing and add the AI and the augmented reality features on top of it. People are not going to wear something that they're not used to. It's that simple. Now, second, let's talk about the most exciting part of all of this, the Gen AI and multimodal prompts. Every single one of you knows and has used ChatGPT and its amazing ability to give you answers based on text prompts that you type. But to enable this kind of future, you need to eliminate the need for us to type a description to explain what we see, and instead we need to let the AI see for itself. And that's what multimodal AI basically means. It means using a camera that AI can see through and look at objects and colors and text and pictures, sometime in the future, even sounds. For example, Meta has embedded theirs into their new version of Meta's Ray-Ban smart glasses, and you're able to do some pretty phenomenal things. Look at this, for example.
Hey Meta, play some music.
Hey Meta, look and translate this.
Just checking on you. Just hurry back when you can.
Oh, look who is here.
Hey Meta, take a video.
Hey Meta, tell me a good bit.
That looks genuinely useful and in a way that isn't intrusive or abnormal. It just makes sense. Now, to be super clear, I'm not recommending you buy the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. That's the subject of an individual review that looks at whether it's worth it today. I'm saying that this form factor and this technology has a vision for the future. Another example of an AI LLM based form factor that has multimodal interaction that got recently released and trashed is the Rabbit R1, and it can do some pretty cool things with its camera. Just look at Justine showing it her egg toast, and it told her not just what it is, which is cool, but it told her everything down to what kind of sauce it probably has, which is pretty insane. Here's another example of how this multimodal interaction is super useful in your everyday tasks. Just watch this, but I want you to imagine that you don't have to awkwardly point an orange cube at the bananas, but instead your slick smart glasses are already able to do all of this while you casually glance at the bananas. Okay, I think you get where I'm going with this. Once again, the Rabbit R1 isn't that great, you shouldn't buy it, but it has the core of the tech that's needed for the future. If you take the first thing, which is an everyday form factor that doesn't feel intrusive or weird, like spectacles or sunglasses, and add multimodal Gen AI, it's quite a killer combination that people actually might start to use. But if you want this to be used at scale and actually replace something like a smartphone, we're going to need the third ingredient, the operating system and the UI, and a way to engage with all of this that doesn't need you to just talk to it and wait for it to reply. I mean, come on, people aren't going to be walking around talking to themselves all the time. And once again, people are starting to solve this problem. Apple's Vision Pro is of course one of the leaders in this. Their Vision OS, where the apps appear in front of your eyes and you can just look at the app that you want and it seamlessly moves from one to the other and you casually click your fingers to select stuff, has been described by most reviewers as
awe-inspiring.
No, seriously, everyone. Look at Marques Brownlee.
The most impressive thing is the eye tracking. I'm not even kidding. This eye tracking is sick.
But it's not just that, it's the entire OS and how easy it is to use. Now, of course, it's not perfect. Nilay from The Verge correctly pointed out that you don't always want to have to look at what you want to click. I mean, think about when you use a computer. Do you look at your keyboard or your mouse all the time when you type? Now, there are other companies trying to solve this problem in different ways. For example, the much talked about and much dumped on Humane AI Pin, which is getting destroyed by reviewers for being too expensive and not useful. For example, just watch Mr. Who's the Boss talk to their CEO here.
I spent about 4 hours using it and talking to the CEO, Imran, and I don't think I've ever wanted to love a piece of technology so much and yet still be unable to.
Who's Mr. Who's the Boss from YouTube?
Finding YouTube video. Arun Maini, also known as Marizathi Bose, is a popular YouTuber with a focus on technology, making him...
Ouch. But even though the current version is not worth your 700 pounds or dollars, I'll make a separate video about that if you want. Let me know in the comments. But let's look at what actually does work here and the promise that it holds for the future. Just have a look at the UI where the projector projects onto your hands and you can click with your fingers to engage with it. It also has a depth sensor and you can move your hands back and forwards to move around the apps, which is a great way of solving the slight problem with the Vision Pro where you always don't want to have to look at what you click. And just look at what this does with live translations. There's so much potential here, but they might have released this product too early. So let's step back and dream for one last time. What if you could take a form factor like the Meta Ray-Ban sunglasses or spectacles that has a killer camera and audio and mic, and then you add on top of that the multimodal AI models from ChatGPT and Rabbit and Google and Meta and others, and then finally you build into it an improved version of Apple's Vision OS and have it priced the same as your phone, so it starts under 1,000 pounds or dollars or even lower to get people started. What if you could just walk around wearing your glasses, seeing the world as is, having useful information overlaid, be able to talk to it and ask it questions about anything you're seeing, be able to interact with it by just moving around your palms and seeing an entire app ecosystem in front of your eyes. Whenever you like, you can watch a movie on the park bench, you can ask someone what's happening in a football game, you can ask someone what this monument is, and you can switch it all off if you want to feel normal. Doesn't that start to sound like something that might actually replace the smartphone? I have so many ideas bursting about this theory, but I want to know first what all of you think. Let me know in the comments. But in the meantime, I have another interesting prediction that I think that Apple is going to stop selling the MacBook very soon. Click right here if you want to know why I think that will happen. See you there.